This one out of nowhere. Chelsea exploring move to sign Danny Welbeck from Brighton and Hove Albion. Terms end in 2027 and Brighton aware of interest. Early stage, but optimism on all sides. Deal can be done. Quality and leadership appeals to Alonso. This is massive news for Chelsea Football Club in so many different ways, right? People are looking at this and thinking, I don't know if this is the sexy striker signing that we wanted. It's Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck, even for the pure principle that he wouldn't be able to score against us twice a season, this is a magnificent deal. Every single time we play Brighton, even if Danny Welbeck isn't even undressed in the 85th minute, I know he's going to score against us. Even if he came on with 5 minutes just gone, after full time, he'd probably score. Danny Welbeck always scores against Chelsea, and there's a reason for that. Danny Welbeck, when it comes to leadership, positioning, and just that striking ability after how many years at the top, 20 years, playing top-level football, this guy knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, and this is exactly what we need from Chelsea strikers. You cross the ball in the box. Imagine one of those Pedro Neto loop balls into the area. Danny Welbeck will leap like a salmon and score. And I know I'm sounding like I'm joking when I talk about this potential Chelsea signing. I genuinely think this is a brilliant move. And if Xabi Alonso says he wants a bit of experience up front because he's had a couple of weeks now, he's got João Pedro there, he knows that João Pedro is the #1 man. He's then looking at Emmanuel Amiga. Well, he's already out injured, so that can't really work. Liam Delap scored 1 Premier League goal last season. Danny Welbeck definitely did a lot more than that. And then you've got Dastan Satpayev, who's very young. Maybe he goes to the academy for a year. Maybe he goes out on loan. Chelsea want to sell Nicholas Jackson because we can get a good fee for Nicholas Jackson. And Jackson's time at Chelsea looked as though it was finished last summer. So if we're looking at that, and the club are like, well, we're going to get you this, this, and this in other positions, we don't have the money, then Danny Welbeck, even at 35 years old, this makes a lot of sense from a Chelsea perspective in terms of bringing in Premier League proven quality all over the pitch at this point. We're going for everything. And Danny Welbeck has been a Premier League footballer for a very long time. Man United fans will be absolutely distraught that Danny Welbeck to Chelsea is happening. Let's go through a couple more sources here to discuss this further. Ben Jacobs says, Chelsea are optimistic on closing a deal to sign Danny Welbeck. Talks already progressing and Welbeck keen on the move. Fabrizio Romano, Xabi Alonso has approved Danny Welbeck as new experienced option up front for Chelsea. CFC in active talks to explore this possibility from Brighton. I love this deal. I think this is a brilliant, brilliant move.
And then it started to get not so cool. Yeah, let's talk about this first before I get to the other person I wanted to speak about now. Let's switch it around. Then this happened. Breaking, Chelsea lead race to sign Jordan Henderson as new midfielder. Another surprise for Chelsea. Henderson can leave Brentford on a free transfer and Chelsea are ahead in the race with 2 more clubs for England international. Former Liverpool midfielder open to the move. David Ornstein telling us the same thing. Chelsea working to sign Jordan Henderson from Brentford. Chelsea top contender among multiple Premier League clubs, eyeing England midfielder as Brentford ready to grant free transfer. Amicable situation plus healthy relations between the 36-year-old and the club. I mean, what on earth is this one though? This is where I think, okay, Chelsea, Blueco, you've gone a bit too, you've gone too extreme here. I know we said experience. We don't mean this. And look, there's another factor here. Okay, you know what? Okay, Jordan Henderson in midfield is a different story. You need an engine. You can't play in midfield and just chill. I ain't got the legs here, but give me the ball, it's fine. Like, you can't do that. Unless if your technicality is on plus 550,000. Do you know what I mean? But even then, Jordan Henderson, I think restricted because he's slow now. Here's the thing though. Do all of these players bring things they can add to the dressing room? Leadership? Yes. However, much like I think John Stones is an example, he can also be an example on the pitch with his role, which he's not going to be for us because he's going to Inter Milan. Welbeck, same situation. He can come off the bench, and even in terms of just words, leadership and all that, but on the pitch, he can make...
Where exactly is this Chelsea project heading? We've gone from billion-pound teenage prodigies to, potentially, a veteran striker nearing his mid-30s and a midfielder who was playing in the Saudi Pro League. Yet, when you strip away the noise, these rumored arrivals of Danny Welbeck and Jordan Henderson aren't a sign of lost ambition. They are the most coherent thing this club has done since Todd Boehly walked through the door. We aren't here to debate the absurdity, we're here to explain exactly why this is a tactical masterstroke of squad architecture. This isn't a scattergun approach. This is a surgical injection of voice and validation. Let's diagnose the patient. Chelsea doesn't have a talent problem, they have a silence problem. Last week, we watched this side dominate possession against 10 men and still look utterly leaderless. The squad is saturated with individual brilliance but devoid of vocal organization. When the system breaks down, who is setting the tempo? Who is pulling a young fullback into position? Enter Jordan Henderson. Forget the romance of the Ajax resurgence, focus purely on the anatomy of a dressing room. You're not acquiring him to be a box-to-box engine for 90 minutes every 3 days. You're acquiring a standard setter. This is a player who exists to police the culture. Maresca needs a lieutenant on the grass who can translate complex positional demands into immediate, shouted realities. Henderson isn't just a player, he's a buffer between a demanding coach and a young squad that often looks scared to make a mistake. The mechanics of this signing lie in the details of the pivot. We've seen Caicedo struggle to cover wide areas because the communication line behind him breaks. Enzo has been pushed high to find offensive solutions, but the bridge between defense and attack lacks a traffic controller. Henderson offers a unique profile, a restrictive presence. He plays with a security-first mentality that Moises and Romeo Lavia simply haven't developed yet. Think of this not as a permanent lock on the starting 11, but as a phase shifter. If Chelsea is leading by a goal in the 78th minute, you currently hold your breath. With Henderson on the pitch, you shift to a containment shape that knows how to see out the chaos. He's the human equivalent of a defensive reset button. That is not a backward step, that is winning football matches by closing the gate. Now, let's pivot to the other side of the pitch, because bringing in Danny Welbeck is a much deeper conversation than just backup striker. Nicholas Jackson offers elite movement and pressing triggers, he's a disruptor. But defenses have figured him out. They sit deep, ignore the off-ball runs, and dare him to solve a low block with pure technique. He can't do it consistently. Welbeck operates in an entirely different dimension. His time under De Zerbi at Brighton transformed him into a specialist in receiving the ball on the half-turn, with his back to goal, blending physicality with dexterity. This is a move born from tactical variety. If Jackson is the scalpel that cuts behind lines, Welbeck is the shield that protects the ball and brings Palmer and the inverted wingers into the attack. You're adding a different scent to the forward line, a player who understands how to absorb physical contact from massive center backs and still execute a one-touch layoff to perfection.